Irish guy, and you are going to hate my suggestions. I know you will. Today I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and find one player who I just know. I know you do not want at your club. I know when I suggest to you that you sign this man, you're all going to look at me as if I've got the brains of a claustrophobic beaver. Me suggesting to you to sign these unpopular players. I feel like I'm going to be like a frustrated mum trying to convince her bratty children why they should eat their cauliflower instead of just feeding it to the dog. But go on then, let's give this one a go. Right, let's go. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, just subscribe! If you're new, absolute legends. Back into the video. Arsenal, Alan Saint-Maximin. Okay, I know, right? Right now, Arsenal fans are just spat out their glass of milk all over their phone. They have looked at this suggestion, and then I just recommended that they stick their feet in a toilet. But no, am I the only one who still believes in Alan Saint-Maximin? Yes, I mean, if you're just a Wikipedia expert, then looking at his goal-scoring stats, it is a big pile of turtle sick. Seeing just 13 goals in 124 games as a forward for Newcastle United is a scarier sight than watching Mark Goldberg doing yoga in the nude. But I'm sorry, this bloke is just a maverick. And I know that makes me sound like 2017 Logan Paul, but still. Sure, I mean, when Newcastle had Steve Bruce munching donuts in the dugout, then Maxi was let out of his shackles and just got to do what he wanted. Like Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. But Eddie Howe wants structure, discipline, tracking back. Right now, there's no room in the Newcastle squad for a luxury maverick because they're at the beginning of their project. Which is why it was also completely nutty for Manchester City to expect Robinho to be a huge success at the beginning of their project when most of his teammates at the same levels of fitness as pigs smoking cigarettes. I know, it's nearly the year-long anniversary of his last ever goal, but still, what a goal that was! Put Saint-Maximin into this current free-flowing Arsenal team. Sit him on that gunner's bench and just watch his skills coming off it. Right now, Newcastle are trying to flush him out to a desert in Saudi, but no. Just no. Buy him for 35 to 40 million pounds. And suddenly, I think Maxi in an Arsenal shirt tears this league to bits. Aston Villa, Chuba Akpom. If you were to tell an Aston Villa team in European football right now to go out and get Chuba Akpom through the door, some bloke who sounds like a cheap lollipop, I can only imagine that aghast and shocked Villa fans would probably spill on the floor. Surely they'd want to target actual superstars from the continent, right? Like a Jonathan David from Lille? Not invest in a striker who's already failed at 4 current Premier League teams. This is a guy who scored a big bag of nothing for Arsenal, Brentford, Nottingham Forest and Brighton. But last season with Middlesbrough in the Championship was a joke. This is a man who was an official Borough flop. 5 goals in nearly 40 games in his debut season. Then flushed back out to Greece on loan, where he was once again nothing special. But then he returned to England to bag in 29 goals. I don't know what happened. Maybe the guy's been hitting the gym. Maybe he's suddenly been banned from McDonald's. Maybe he's drinking goat steroids in his morning Cheerios. Well, right now, he's in superstar form. How he hasn't been capped for Nigeria yet, I've no earthly idea. But he's only got a year left in his Riverside deal. If Unai Emery goes out there and chucks in a £15 million bid, then I think he's yours. And don't forget, Aston Villa wonder kid Cameron Archer did play up front with Akpom at Borough last season, and together they smacked in a combined 26 goals since February. I'm sorry, but Archer and Akpom reuniting for a Thursday night game at Partizan Belgrade. I'm sold. Bournemouth, Santiago Jimenez. I know Bournemouth fans will turn their nose up at this suggestion because Santiago Jimenez is about as high profile as a dead donkey in a field. But lads, he's a 22-year-old Mexican international forward who moved from Cruz Azul to Feyenoord last season and banged in 23 goals in his campaign year. I know you can't always trust new toys from the Dutch league. It's about as random as trying to stick your hand in a bowl of pick and mix at the cinema. I mean, sure, you could get some nice squishy eggs from a pack of Haribo, but you could also come out with a handful of fingernails and chest hair. Look, this is a gamble. He didn't make Mexico squad for the World Cup, but I just think a 23-goal debut season in Holland, it's worth a go. Brentford, Alexander Lacazette. Brentford need a centre forward. Do they not realise that Ivan Toney's been banned for months? Why haven't they gone out and signed a replacement yet? It's almost the height of negligence, and I know this suggestion will go down about as well as if I just told you all to nibble on some poison steak. But why? Why does everybody just think that a 32-year-old Lacazette is just some bloated teddy bear with the goal-scoring skill of a wet omelette? He has been a goal machine throughout his career. Since 2013, these are his end-of-season numbers. 22 for Lyon, 31 for Lyon, 23 for Lyon, 37 for Lyon, 17 for Arsenal, 19 for Arsenal, 12 for Arsenal, 17 for Arsenal. Yes, his final season at the Emirates was like barbecued milk. Just 6 goals in 36 games. But so? Everyone seemed to then assume he was just some burnt out flop. No, last season, 31 goals for Lyon. Look, Lyon missed out on European football completely. So if Thomas Frank can tempt him with a return to London, chuck in a £15 million bid and I promise you, he is an incredible short-term replacement for Tony. But yeah, I know, you Brentford fans are all going to be about as underwhelmed as me when I saw the finale to Lost. Brighton, Jesse Lingard. This is definitely an unpopular suggestion. Forget that Jesse Lingard has already been at Brighton before. But right now, he's a Nottingham Forest flop and his reputation is absolute mud. I mean, this guy is a free agent. Nobody seems to be picking up the phone or even sending him a cheeky text. Jay Lings is out in the cold. A forgotten slice of cheese toast. I mean, his tactical one-year deal at Forest last summer has completely backfired because he was just going to use them to show off for a year, reproduce his West Ham form, and then earn a move to Spurs. I'm pretty sure that was his end-game James Bond master plan. But in the end, 0 goals in 17 league games and got released. But in Roberto De Zerbi's weird possession-based system, chuck in the European football too. Then don't you tell me that a 30-year-old Lingard, an attacking midfielder with over 30 England caps and over 200 games under his belt at Manchester United, don't you tell me he wouldn't be a useful buy? Burnley, Sidney van Hooijdonk. I know this is a weird transfer. Bournemouth are the ones buying the kiddies of former superstars, getting Justin Kluivert through the door, yeah, but Burnley, why not go out there and get Pierre van Hooijdonk's son? To be honest, I'm not sure why Nottingham Forest aren't all over this bloke. Do you know how many modern Premier League kids you could flog outside the ground with Van Hooijdonk on the back? Sidney van Hooijdonk is an Eredivisie superstar. He's only 23 years old, but 23 goals in his last 58 games for NEC Breda. Earned a move to Bologna in 2021, but was never given a chance. But last season, just battered 19 goals on loan at Heerenveen. So there's a risk, and Burnley fans won't like it. But I think worth a gamble. Chelsea, David De Gea. What? You need a goalie, okay? I know, David De Gea is poor with the ball at his feet. But so is Hugo Lloris, and Mauricio Pochettino nearly won Tottenham the Champions League with him in net. This is absolutely a weird decision. But don't forget, David De Gea did win the Golden Glove in May. He is not a terrible goalkeeper. He's certainly more stable and reliable than Kepa. I know this won't be a popular one, and he will eat monster wages. But I still think he'd be a quality Chelsea buy on a free transfer. Why not? Just give him Koulibaly's pay packet and it'll be fine. I mean, it would be ironic because another ex-Atletico Madrid goalie, Thibaut Courtois, he was the guy who stole De Gea's dream move. So go on then. Why not take his old job? Crystal Palace, Alexander Sorloth. Crystal Palace fans will hate this suggestion. I know they will. Alexander Sorloth was already at Crystal Palace for 2 years and scored 1 goal in 20 games. The prospect of having him back on their books. They'd sooner share a bed with their morbidly obese aunt. But lads, this Norwegian striker has done well since quitting Palace. Remember that 33-goal season in Turkey with Trabzonspor? Sure, he was then an RB Leipzig flop, but I'm sorry. 16 goals on loan at Real Sociedad last season isn't bad at all. Come on, Palace, swallow your pride. Chuck £10 million at Leipzig and give this guy another chance. Everton, Ayotte Perez. I know Ayotte Perez is just signed for Real Betis on a free from Leicester City, but I don't care. Everton fans would assume that I've broken my brain right now, but you can still sign him. Does nobody remember when Dietmar Hamann signed for Bolton in June 2006? But I mean, he still went and joined Man City after just 2 weeks. Harry Redknapp tried to sell David Nugent to Derby County a month after buying him for Portsmouth. I know it's idiotic to pay actual legal money for a bloke they could have just signed for free, but I don't care. Ayotte Perez is still in his 20s, is actually the perfect second striker to play behind a colossal beefcake like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and buzzing around for his knockdowns. I mean, I don't know what happened to this wet tub of hair gel at Leicester City. He was a huge £30 million flop, but he was absolute quality for Rafa Benitez at Newcastle. 25 goals in his last 3 seasons for that club. I refuse to believe he's just now a finished dried up waffle. Go out there, put £5 million in Betis's bemused pockets, and under Sean Dyche's prehistoric Flintstone ball, I think he'd be effective. Fulham, Martin Braithwaite. Martin Braithwaite is a big lump who doesn't score goals. That is the narrative about this Danish ex-Middlesbrough flop. But to be fair, despite being filthy rich in 32, he's never actually played in the Premier League before, and he was deemed good enough to exist on Barcelona's books for 2 seasons, so I can only assume after training with Messi, then yes, he is probably now a better player than that hideous sock puppet who stunk up the riverside. I just think if Alexander Mitrovic really does quit Fulham for Saudi, then Marco Silva needs to sign a few strikers. And Braithwaite, he scored 10 goals in the Liga for Espanyol last season. He's currently relegated to the 2nd tier, so what? A £6 million bid probably gets him. Liverpool, Max Aarons. I already know that most Liverpool fans will be so offended that I suggest that Jurgen Klopp actually go out there and just buy Rolando Aaronson's cousin. Max Aarons is a sweaty fig roll who's had a really symmetrical career. To his credit though, he has always played between 35 and 50 games a season. Ever since he broke into the Norwich team at 18, he never gets injured ever. And he's also won the championship twice, but also been relegated from the Premier League twice. This is a wonder kid right back who's been linked with a big money move away from Carrow Road after the first relegation. The fact that he's still there 4 years down down the line. He must be sick in his mouth. Back in 2019, he was literally Manchester United's plan B if they didn't get Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And the following year, Barcelona failed with a bid to sign him on loan. The fact that Norwich actually prevented him from moving to the new camp. I'm surprised he hasn't since marched into Delia Smith's office and chosen to unleash a box of spiders in her microwave. Bayern Munich acquired from him in 2021, and Norwich scared them off with a £35 million price tag. This is a man who's seen Buendia, Godfrey, Madison, even Jamal Lewis move on to bigger and better things, whilst he's just spent the last few years sharing apple pie with Timu Pukki. But I think Liverpool should sign him now. I mean, they just loaned Calvin Ramsey out to Preston, so if nothing else, Aaron's gonna be a quality right back to sit on the bench. But if Klopp wants to do a Southgate and push Trent into midfield, and I can see him experimenting with that in the Europa League, then Aarons could realistically be a solid, dependable right back in this Liverpool starting 11. I know the Liverpool fans will sneer at this. Oh, they should be targeting elite right backs, like Benjamin Pavard, not rubbish human popcorn from Norwich. I'm sorry, you bought your legendary left back from Hull for £8 million? If you'd had your way, you'd have signed Benjamin Mendy instead. Aarons just won the European Championships with the England under-21s. He's got Premier League experience. He nearly wound up at Barcelona. He's got just a year left in his Norwich deal. So £16 million, and I reckon he's yours. Luton Town, Mario Balotelli. Luton need anyone they can get. Man City, Sergio Gnabry. Look, if Riyad Mahrez follows that cash on a string to Saudi, then Pep Guardiola needs to invest in another winger. And I know signing an Arsenal flop is not a good look. And then realising that he's also a failure at West Brom is even worse. And for some reason, people like to look at Sergio Gnabry and be snobby. Is it because he looks like he eats Pop-Tarts and chicken wings for brunch? Maybe. But his end product is frighteningly consistent. His last 2 seasons for Bayern Munich, 34 games played in the Bundesliga, 14 goals scored. You know what you're getting from this guy. Yes, I know he's just turned 28. Well, go on, just get a £50 million deal done. Man United, Sergio Ramos. Manchester United fans are going to think that this is complete and utter desperate nonsense. Finally getting their hands on Sergio Ramos now, when he turns 38 in March. This fella is surely destined for a move to somewhere like Brazil, right? But I'm sorry, signing an ancient, late 30s, experienced centre-back from PSG on a free. Yeah, when has that ever worked, right? Man United need leaders in that dressing room. And considering Harry Maguire is now probably going to be a moaning, sulky brat after having his captain's armband ripped off his arm, sell this sensitive, neutered soul to West Ham and bring Ramos in a squad depth on the bench. Christ love, can you imagine a European night at Old Trafford and strikers having to come up against the centre-back pairing of Ramos and Varane? One of the most underrated centre-back partnerships in recent history. This is a guy with 180 caps for Spain, 671 games for Real Madrid. Christ above, he is a centre-back who scored over 100 goals for the biggest club on earth. That is unheard of. Honestly, I know Man United fans will hate this suggestion, but come on, he is a Liverpool enemy, a born winner. I honestly do believe he'd be the club's answer to Thiago Silva. And honestly, imagine this guy being the penalty taker for your club. It's like if Eric Cantona was a centre-back. Newcastle, Romelu Lukaku. Right now, Romelu Lukaku's name is mud. People are calling him the biggest waste of money in Premier League history after a pretty awful World Cup, and the fact that his permanent move to Inter Milan is broken down. People seem to think he's now just a huge garbage can, an overinflated waste of money, and about as dangerous in front of goal as Barney the dinosaur. But no, apparently he's decided to ghost Inter Milan this summer because he's still fuming and be left out of the starting 11 in the Champions League final. But Lukaku has been a Premier League monster. Does nobody remember the fact that he's got 121 Premier League goals? Less than 20 behind Mo Salah? Newcastle are in the Champions League now. I know convincing Chelsea to sell to a top 4 rival would be tricky, but come on. Lukaku for £35 million. He's 30, yes, but he's still younger than Callum Wilson. But maybe I'm being crazy here. But Newcastle need 3 elite strikers for European football next season. Isak, Wilson and Lukaku would be absolutely monstrous. Nottingham Forest, Olivier Giroud. I know. Why would Olivier Giroud quit the great AC Milan for a relegation battle with Nottingham Forest? And similarly, why would Forest fans want to sign a guy who turns 37 in 2 months? Lad, Giroud is absolutely timeless. And one of the most underrated strikers in Premier League history. He's only actually got a job until 2024 at the San Siro. So if Forest just give him a 3-year deal, it sounds absolutely nutty. It means he'll be on the Forest books being paid £80,000 a week until he's 39. It's insane, yes, but I'm sorry. He scored 18 goals for AC Milan last season. Clearly he's on that Ibrahimovic diet. I mean, he's still scoring goals for France. I can't believe I'm having to talk Nottingham Forest into buying France's record goal scorer, Sheffield United Matt Doherty. Look, Sheffield United fans will probably turn up their nose at Matt Doherty because, again, like Lukaku, he's been unfairly written off. Why? Because Diego Simeone chose to ignore him for 6 months at Atletico Madrid? But at 31, the Ireland right back is still well good enough for the Premier League. Tottenham, Wilfried Zaha. This makes so much sense. I know Tottenham fans probably won't like this one. Signing a 30-year-old Wilfried Zaha on a free after spending nearly his whole life wasting away in that comfort zone at Crystal Palace. But come on lads, he's a far better player than Manor Solomon or Arnaud Danjuma, and Tottenham did want to sign this guy in the past as a free transfer No brainer. West Ham, Harry Maguire. I know there will be some West Ham fans who think that signing this clumsy oaf of a centre half like Harry Maguire is absolutely unambitious nonsense. But lads, don't forget, when he was a mid-table centre back at Leicester City, he played well enough to command an £80 million fee. No, he's not Champions League level, but he's a fine Europa League centre half. I mean, come on, West Ham managed to squeeze a tune out of Craig Dawson, so a loan deal for Maguire would be excellent business. And if West Ham suddenly think they're too big or too proud to lower themselves by hiring Man United rejects, I'm sorry, look at your manager. Loves Oscar. This is a bizarre move, I know, but why not? If any Premier League club is going to bring Oscar back to England, it is Jorge Mendes pulling his weird strings. Football has just forgotten about Oscar ever since he quit Chelsea at 25 to stuff his face with money in China, but he does still exist. And he's 31 now. Since the Chinese bubble has burst, I don't know, is it worth a gamble? The kid was once a superstar at Stamford Bridge. We know he can cut it in English football. Maybe I'm being insane, but is it not worth a go? Anyway, that's what I let me know in the comments what player was the most unpopular one there. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, share, comment as always. I'll talk to you in a while.